Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my makeup predictions for 2024. So many of you were asking me why I didn't do this in December, and the honest truth is that I didn't have time. And I also think that I didn't think you were gonna miss it, but there were so many people asking me if I could still do it. So here I am. I'm gonna let you know what I think is gonna happen with the makeup industry, what I think is gonna happen product-wise, what I think is gonna happen with trends for 2024. It's gonna be a little bit of a stab in the dark, and some of them are also gonna be somewhat good guesses, I think, but we'll just wait and see if I'm correct or not. But let's jump in so I can tell you what I think is gonna happen throughout this year. This is actually something that I usually film every year. I started filming this maybe 5 years ago, doing predictions, honestly, and I've always really enjoyed talking about the makeup industry, talking about what's going on, talking about like what has happened and how that's going to affect what's happening in the future. So we are going to go through what I think about trends, like makeup trends, and then we're going to talk a little bit what I think about makeup brands as a whole, like the industry, and then I'm going to end with some predictions of like specific products. I know that Kelly Gooch does videos like this as well, and I know that she goes through trademarks. I have not watched her video for this year yet because I don't want to be like affected. I don't want to be inspired by her thoughts, but I know that she goes through trademarks and I do not do that because part of me do want to be a little bit surprised about things that I see. And also as a brand owner myself, sometimes you do have to file a trademark, but it doesn't mean that you're ready to talk about what's coming in the future. And also I will say sometimes you file a trademark for something just to have it just in case, but it doesn't mean that you're actually going to be releasing it. I know that I've been saying for years and years and years that I thought that multichromes were going to be mainstream. And I will say this took way longer than I thought it was going to do. I thought that this was going to happen 2 or 3 years ago, but I feel like we're there now. Like Colourpop is releasing multichromes, Moira is releasing multichromes. We've seen multichromes in quite a few different palettes. Natasha Denona is having them in several palettes, like Pat McGrath's have them. I feel now we're at the point where even now I say normal consumer as someone who's not consuming a lot of makeup YouTube or makeup TikTok, even they somewhat realize that there are some special shades out there that shift in different colors. And I do feel that it's become a little bit more mainstream, and I'm very excited to see that. What I think is going to be the next trend, and I'm basing this mainly on what's going on in the indie community right now, is holographic eyeshadows. Holographic eyeshadows have started to trickle in plenty of different eyeshadow palettes in the indie community. You've seen it at Ensley Rain, you've seen it at Adept Cosmetics, you've seen that different brands that are doing, Lethal Cosmetics has done it, holographic shadows that are eye safe but has the holographic shimmer particles in them that just make them incredibly exciting. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to be as popular and as common in eyeshadows, especially throughout the indie community, as multichromes has been. And I feel like we're going to come into a time now when we're introducing even another type of formula in eyeshadows. And I think as we've started to see the last, I want to say 6 years, consumers are a little bit bored if an eyeshadow palette has only 2 different formulas. They want to see like satins and shimmers and metallics and sparkles and toppers and duochromes and multichromes. And I think that we're going to add on even another contender into this mix. And I think that's going to be holographic eyeshadows. Watch this space, watch this year and next year be plenty of different options. I think this is going to be something that you're going to see a lot of. Next, when it comes to trends, and I think that this is something that a lot of people have talked about, but Barbiecore, I think we're done with that. I think the bright cool tone pink is slowly going to see its way out if it hasn't already. And I think we are going to move into, I think overall, when it comes to trends, I think Clean Girl, she's dead, she's gone, rest in peace, we're not doing that anymore. And I think we are slowly but surely gonna move into more, I don't want to say messy makeup, but darker makeup, dramatic makeup. We've seen a lot of plays with eyeliner. I think eyeliner is coming back. We've seen those little like hooks in the inner you know, and I think eyeliner is gonna come back. I feel like we're gonna see a revival of the 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, that span of 5-6 years. I think we're gonna see a revival of the glam like more dramatic look coming in for the next couple of years. Not necessarily full coverage. I don't know if full coverage foundations is going to come in as hard, as I think we're going to play with darker colors, with more contrast, with more visible makeup. I think that's what I want to say. I think we are going back to visible makeup. If that means visible eyeliner, if that means visible lipsticks, I think we are going to probably see more of the more bold lips that we saw as well in that like 2016-17 era. I think we're going to see more of that. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen when it comes to makeup trends. And I think, like I said, the pink blush, it's out. I think we're going to see more of brown, peach, warm blushes. I think we are leaving the cool tones. Not necessarily that I think cool tones are going to be out, but I think we are slowly going to move towards warm tones being popular again. I would not be surprised if we are having another craze of the neutral, like peachy brown blushes. Honestly, that's what I think. I think peachy brown blushes are going to be super hip. I also think that we might see more of like when you almost can't see the difference between the blush and bronzer, the way that it was in the beginning. Remember contouring? Oof. Do you think contouring is going to come back? I would not be surprised. I've seen quite a lot of contouring product the last year. Maybe that's coming back as well. But I think we're going to see, when it comes to blush, I think we're going to see more of that bronzer going into a neutral blush in a more smooth transition where you can't really even see the blush. It's more of a, is it a blush or did they just put bronzer all over the cheeks? I think we're going to see that. I wonder if this also is going to be the revival of eyeshadows being a little bit more popular, because I feel like with clean girl aesthetics, it wasn't really eyeshadows. And I think that the way that Urban Decay's Space Cowboy had such a hype with those like sparkly, glittery topper shades, I feel like there's probably quite a lot of mainstream brands that have had that under production for this year. And I would not be surprised if we saw more products like the Space Cowboy, the glitter moondust shadows from Urban Decay come out from mainstream brands this year. That is something that I would kind of predict to happen simply because of the hype of that product and how long it takes to develop a product. I think that that might come back, and that like craze of having more sparkly visible makeup might make us lean even more into doing the full eyeshadow look. Again, this is just what I'm thinking. Or maybe it's what I'm wanting, because you can clearly see that I love visible makeup. I did film this look, by the way. I filmed it with the new Nomad Cosmetics palette. This is the New Zealand Stargazing palette that I still think should have been the Milky Way or Vintergatan palette, but hey, I'm not on product development. It's a really pretty palette though. I'm wearing this today. I do have a tutorial on this one. I will link that either in the description box or in the pinned comment. But yeah, if you want to see how this is made, I will link that down below, together with some swatches of the palette in case you are interested. I also think that the glossy, dewy, almost greasy looking skin, I think it is finally done. We've seen more of the, not necessarily matte skin, but we've seen more of the natural finish. The buzzword for every foundation during 2023 was a natural finish. Regardless of it was a natural finish or not, everything had a natural finish. I think we're going more into the soft matte finish, not necessarily the full coverage baking powder, but I think we're going more into realizing that that super dewy, glossy look is not the most wearable, not the easiest to maintain. And if you're like me and you hate having a sticky face, it's also not the most comfortable thing to be going around in. So I think that that look is out, and I think that we're gonna see even more of that, you know, the airbrushed finish, soft matte. I think they were calling it cloud skin. I definitely think we're moving more into that. And I wonder if we're also gonna be doing even more highlighters, because I feel like some highlighters got a lot of hype, like the Rare Beauty highlighters. Those were really hyped during last year. And I wonder if we're still gonna be doing highlighter, or if we're gonna do more of almost the 90s makeup when it was like soft matte all over and highlighter was just not really a thing. Let's talk more about like makeup products and the beauty community as a whole. I think we're gonna see even more dupes. I think that the big success that e.l.f. has had with dupes during the past like 2 years is definitely gonna show itself in even more dupes. And I feel like we're back in the best form of flattery is imitation. I mean, even Tarte was doing some kind of a dupe things and they were not even more affordable. I think that just we're at the point now where most things have already been made, and instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I think a lot of brands are just leaning and looking at other brands to see what's popular for them, and I think they're just come out with their own version of it. Elf is probably the most successful drugstore brand right now, at least in the Western makeup market, and I think that a lot of drugstore brands are looking at that and thinking, we should do that too. We want to be part of that too. And I think, just look at the Physicians Formula Bronze collection that came out now. They literally had 3 dupes within a collection. I think we're going to see more of that. Drugstore brands trying to do an Elf, trying to bring in more customers with duping popular expensive products, because what Elf was able to do is that doing dupes of expensive products, they were able to slowly increase the price of their own products, and I don't even feel like people noticed. Do you remember when Elf was $1 and now it's like $12 for a lipstick? Like, they're not that affordable anymore, but people are kind of being okay with it because at least their dupe is more affordable than the high-end version. So somehow Elf has like cracked the code. They've been able to do dupes, be like really successful with it, people love them, and also raising their prices, and people are not that upset about it. So I really feel like they are onto something, and I definitely think that other brands are going to try to do something similar. We've also been into like perfumes has been the new skincare. I mean, makeup was super popular and then skincare was super popular during the 2020, 2021, 2022. Now we've been into a year of perfumes, and I definitely think that perfumes is still going to be super popular this year. There's going to be so many more perfume releases than what we're used to before. I mean, usually like big perfume brands, they'd release 1 or 2 fragrances a year, if even that. But now we're seeing maybe 1 every 2 months, and it's a lot of perfumes coming out. And I also think that even more brands are going to come out with perfumes, and I also think that even more brands are going to come into body care and stuff like that, just like as we saw with Rare Beauty now coming into body care. I think we're going to see even more, you know, self-care, home spa, body care things. I think even more of that is going to come out, and I think that that is a reflection of what is really popular on social media right now, and what a lot of beauty YouTubers and TikTokers are getting more into fragrances and body care, and I feel like brands are going to jump on that. And I also feel like probably more affordable brands are going to launch stuff like that. I would not be surprised at all if Elf came up with body sprays. Not even a little bit surprised. We've also seen this big craze with squeezy lip glosses or lip balms in like those squeezy tubes, and the click lipsticks, you know, the ones that you click and it comes out. I feel like both of those are like reimaginations of stuff that has been popular, and I'm wondering, I feel like the squeezy tube was like the reimagination of the juicy tubes by Lancome, and now I'm wondering, is it time for the reimagination of the Clinique chubby sticks? Is that what's coming next? Is it going to be crayons? I'm wondering, and I do feel like even more brands are going to come up with those click lipsticks. I think that now we're going to see even more luxury brands and even more drugstore brands coming out with them. NYX just had one. Elf is coming out with one soon. I think that it's not the end of the click lipsticks, but I'm wondering if this is just me thinking, crayons? Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for Clinique themselves to just re-release them and just be like, it's time. It's time for them to come back and for us to just feel the nostalgia. And I know there's always videos about the rise and fall of this brand, or why I think this brand would be failing, or why I think this brand is going under. I think that like in 2023, we saw the first fall of like actually influencer brands, I want to say failing, but like actually going under. I think that Selfless by Hyram left Sephora but is in Target now, if I'm not totally mistaken. The Item Beauty by Addison Rae has closed down. Jaclyn Cosmetics has closed down. And I'm wondering if we're gonna see even more influencer brands closing down or just trickling away into forgetfulness. And I also think that there will probably be a couple of the bigger brands that are gonna go into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, basically being, we're in trouble, we need help. Because I don't necessarily think that these brands will like disappear, but I think we're gonna see more signs of some of those bigger brands that are actually, I don't think, doing that good anymore. And I know that we always go on and on about Urban Decay, but Urban Decay has left quite a few markets last year. Left markets, closed websites, and I'm wondering what's going on, if they're doing okay. And I feel like what they are releasing this year and what's happening for the brand, I feel that's gonna tell a lot, because sometimes people are like, oh, MAC is so boring, they're gonna fail. MAC's not going anywhere. I think MAC is one of the most popular brands in the world. They're selling so much makeup in the Middle East and Asia. I don't think they're going anywhere. But when it comes to Urban Decay, they have been exiting so many markets that I am starting to get a little bit worried for them. Let me just give you some makeup predictions of things I think we're gonna see, like more specific products. I know I said holographic eyeshadows. I know I said like the click lipsticks. I think we're gonna see a Natasha Denona mini yucca, because I think yucca was a huge success for her, and I think we're gonna see a mini yucca. I would be super surprised if that did not come out. I also think that the big success that Makeup by Mario had with his eyeshadow palette is gonna make him come out with another neutral eyeshadow palette this year, just a little bit different. I think it's gonna be the same format. I think it's gonna probably do a similar kind of layout. It had a good idea if you like neutral eyeshadows, and I think he's gonna do something similar like that again. Another neutral palette, same kind of packaging, same kind of an idea. I would not be surprised if we saw that. I also think that the success that Too Faced had with this Italia Spritz palette, I think that Too Faced is gonna come out with another summer cocktail kind of a palette for summer. This is just me speculating, but I would, and this is me saying, if Too Faced doesn't do that after the success that they had with the Spritz palette, that would be stupid, because people that don't even like Too Faced, like me, literally said it was a great palette. I ranked it really high in my palette rankings, so I'm guessing that they're gonna play off that and release either another palette or maybe more things in that collection. But I would be so surprised, as a brand who loves doing food themed makeup, as a brand who loves playing on former releases and just rehashing again and again and again. I mean, how many ginger cookies, peppermint coffees have they released for like the fall time? If they do not release another summertime drink for summer, I would be deeply surprised. Deeply surprised if that does not happen. And I would love to hear what you think about this. I would love to hear what you think about this. I also will say, with Colourpop now, as I'm filming this, it's coming out on Thursday. It's been released as you're seeing this. Colourpop is releasing a collection with Twilight, the movie. I think that is gonna be the beginning of Colourpop doing collabs with even more nostalgic films. I say nostalgic as like films that like pull on people's heartstrings. Do not be surprised if you see more collabs from Colourpop with movies that you loved when you were a teenager, books that you loved when you were younger. They're trying to catch people my age, or people like older 20s up until like 40s, 50s, people that have money and want to spend it on makeup. If they find the right collab, I would not be surprised if we see more movie collabs from Colourpop, because this is something new for them. They usually do stuff with like Disney or cartoons or like Lizzie McGuire or stuff like that. I feel like Twilight is a little bit different, and I'm wondering where this is gonna lead, and I cannot wait to see what's gonna happen in the future. Let me know what you think about that one as well. I hope you liked the video. Please let me know down below your thoughts. I will link Kelly's video down below as well. When you're seeing this, I will have already watched her video, because I'm super excited to see if we have any like corresponding things, if we see or think the same things. She always has such good videos, and she's doing so great on YouTube right now, so I would definitely recommend you to watch that if you have not. And I will see you probably on Wednesday for a new video. Bye!